Good afternoon, students. Today we'll start with the quinolones. Coming to the introduction of quinolones. Quinolones are synthetic antimicrobial compounds. They are synthetic agents. They have quinolone-like ring structure. They are primarily active against the gram-negative bacteria. First member was introduced, that is nalidixic acid, was introduced in the year 1967 for the clinical purpose. Coming to the nalidixic acid. Nalidixic acid is a synthetic non-fluorinated quinolone. It was discovered by George Lesher and co-workers. It was discovered as a byproduct of chloroquine manufactured in the 1960. It was used clinically from the year 1967. Now coming to the nalidixic acid. Mechanism of action of nalidixic acid. It inhibits the enzyme bacterial DNA gyrase and it is a bactericidal drug. Coming to the spectrum, it is effective against gram-negative bacteria, especially E. coli, Shigella, Proteus, Klebsiella, Enterobacter, but not Pseudomonas. Resistance develops rapidly to the nalidixic acid. Adverse reactions: headache, drowsiness, vertigo, visual disturbances. Individuals with G6PD deficiency develop hemolysis. Contraindications: mainly in the infants due to the propensity of seizures. Therapeutic uses: it is used in urinary tract infections, diarrheas, but nowadays resistance has developed to nalidixic acid and due to the emergence of resistance it is not used. Fluoroquinolones are preferred. Now coming to the drawbacks of the nalidixic acid. Drawbacks are, first is that it is having low potency, it is having a very narrow spectrum, there is rapid development of the resistance, poor tissue penetration is there and lot of adverse effects are there. So low potency, narrow spectrum, rapid development of resistance, poor tissue penetration and more adverse effects. So these are the important drawbacks of the nalidixic acid. Now coming to the fluoroquinolones. Fluoroquinolones are the drugs which were discovered in the early 1980s. It was a breakthrough which was achieved in the early 1980s by fluorination of the quinolone structure at position 6. So by adding a fluorine molecule at the position 6 and by introduction of the piperazine substitute at position 7, fluoroquinolones were discovered and the derivatives are known as the fluoroquinolones. So they contain a fluorine is added in the quinolone structure at position 6 and a piperazine substitute at position 7. So fluorination of the quinolone structure gives rise to the fluoroquinolones. Now coming to the structure of these compounds. Now if you see nalidixic acid, it is having a 4-quinolone structure which contains a carboxylic moiety, that is the COOH at position 3 of the basic ring structure. While the fluoroquinolones, that is the first generation fluoroquinolones which were discovered in the 1980s, have one fluorine substitution at position 6 and piperazine substitution at position 7. So this is the ciprofloxacin. While the second generation fluoroquinolones which were discovered in the 1990s, they have additional fluorine substitutes and other substitution also. So in second generation you can see more than one fluorine substitute and other substitution also. and this gives rise to the differences in their spectrum, additional spectrum. Additional organisms are covered in the spectrum and with additional properties. Changes in the pharmacokinetic properties are also seen. So this is the structure of the naledixic acid and the ciprofloxacin. As you can see, in naledixic acid there is no fluorine substitution at position 6. Only carboxylic moiety is there, which is attached. While in ciprofloxacin you can see there is a fluorine substitution at position 6 and a piperazine substitution. While with the second generation you can see additional fluorine compounds which are attached, and other substitutions are also there. Now coming to the classification of the fluoroquinolones. Classification is based on chronological sequence of development and antibacterial spectrum. The first generation contains norfloxacin, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, while the second generation contains levofloxacin, sparfloxacin, moxifloxacin, while the additional newer compounds are the pazofloxacin and the balofloxacin, which are newly added, and nowadays they are available in India also. Now coming to the mechanism of action of these drugs. Now the quinolones, they target the bacterial DNA gyrase in gram-negative bacteria. So there is an inhibition of the enzyme bacterial DNA gyrase in gram-negative bacteria and inhibition of topoisomerase 4 in gram-positive bacteria. Quinolones exert their action by preventing bacterial DNA from unwinding and duplicating, thereby inhibiting DNA replication and transcription. So the main action is by inhibition of the bacterial DNA from unwinding and duplicating, so that the DNA replication is inhibited. Now DNA replication is a biological process of producing two identical replicas of DNA from one original DNA molecule. DNA replication occurs in all the living organisms, which is essential for biological inheritance. So in this process there is a production of two identical replicas of DNA from one original DNA molecule. This is known as DNA replication. And the main action of quinolones is to inhibit the DNA replication and transcription by preventing the bacterial DNA from unwinding and duplicating. Now continuing with the mechanism of action. Now that there are two double-stranded DNA. Now you know that the DNA is in a double helix. There are two strands of DNA. So these two strands of double helical DNA must be separated to permit DNA replication or transcription. But anything which separates the strand results in overwinding or excessive positive supercoiling of the DNA in front of the point of separation. So to overcome this mechanical obstacle, the bacterial DNA gyrase is responsible for continuous introduction of the negative supercoils into the DNA. It also cuts or nicks the double-stranded DNA and then reseals the cut ends. Now this is a ATP dependent process. Both strands are cut so that a segment of DNA is released through the cut ends required for the DNA replication. Now the DNA gyrase enzyme consists of 2A and 2B subunits. The A subunit carries out nicking of the DNA, that is cutting of the DNA, and it reseals the strands after cutting, while the B subunit introduces negative supercoils. Now the fluoroquinolones, they bind to the A subunit and interfere with the strand cutting and resealing function. So in this way the enzyme is inhibited. Now in gram-positive bacteria, fluoroquinolone bind to the topoisomerase 4 and inhibit it. Now in gram-positive bacteria, the topoisomerase 4 nicks and separates daughter DNA strands after DNA replication. Now in gram-positive bacteria, after inhibition of the topoisomerase 4, this separation does not happen and there is inhibition of DNA replication and separation of daughter DNA strands. The DNA gets damaged and the damaged DNA releases exonuclease enzyme which digests the DNA. In this way bactericidal action takes place. So there is inhibition of DNA replication as well as DNA transcription in gram-negative bacteria, while in gram-positive bacteria there is inhibition of DNA replication and separation of the daughter DNA strands by inhibition of the enzyme DNA gyrase and topoisomerase 4 respectively. The damaged DNA releases exonuclease enzyme which itself digests the damaged DNA. In this way the DNA gets destroyed and the bactericidal action takes place. Now why the mammalian cells are not affected by the fluoroquinolones or the quinolones? Because the mammalian cells contain topoisomerase 2 enzyme instead of the DNA gyrase. And this topoisomerase 2 enzyme carries out DNA replication and transcription in the mammals. Topoisomerase 2 has low affinity to the fluoroquinolones, hence there is a low toxicity to the host cells because of the low affinity. Now coming to the mechanism of the resistance developed to the fluoroquinolones and the quinolones. Resistance develops due to the mutations in the bacterial chromosomal genes. Mutation in the bacterial chromosomal gene which encodes DNA gyrase or the topoisomerase 4. So that these enzymes are synthesized with decreased affinity for the fluoroquinolones. So there is a mutation in the bacterial chromosomal genes which encodes DNA gyrase or the topoisomerase 4. Then second mechanism is due to decrease in the permeability to the drugs inside the bacterial cell and increase efflux of the drugs from the bacterial cell. Now the organisms are Salmonella, Pseudomonas, Staphylococci, Streptococci, Pneumococci, Neisseria gonorrhoeae, Clostridium jejuni. So all these organisms have developed resistance to the fluoroquinolones. Now coming to the spectrum of action, the first generation, coming to the spectrum of first generation compounds. First generation, the highly susceptible organisms are the aerobic gram-negative bacilli, that is the Enterobacteria and the Neisseria. These are the E. coli, Klebsiella pneumoniae, Enterobacter, Neisseria gonorrhoeae, Neisseria meningitis, Haemophilus influenzae, non-typhoid Salmonella, Salmonella typhi, Shigella proteus, Haemophilus ducreyi, Vibrio cholera, Campylobacter jejuni, Yersinia enterocolitica. Moderately susceptible are Pseudomonas, Brucella, Legionella, Mycoplasma, Listeria, Chlamydia, Staph epidermidis, Bacillus anthrax, Bacillus catarrhalis, Brandyella catarrhalis and Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So these are the organisms included in the spectrum of the first generation compounds. Now coming to the spectrum of the second generation compound, the highly susceptible organisms are the Streptococcus pyogenes, Streptococcus faecalis, Streptococcus pneumoniae, methicillin resistant Staph aureus, Haemophilus influenzae, Moraxella, Mycoplasma pneumoniae, Chlamydia pneumophilia, Klebsiella. Even Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Mycobacterium kansasi, Mycobacterium avium, Bacteroid fragilis, Clostridia, anaerobic cocci are also included in the spectrum. These drugs are active against the gram-positive bacteria which have developed resistance to the beta-lactam antibiotics as well as the macrolides. They are also active against the resistant gram-negative organisms. So second generation compound, you can see that they are active against the gram-positive as well as gram-negative bacteria who have developed resistance. Now coming to the distinctive features of the fluoroquinolones, they have good bactericidal activity, they have high potency, they are having long post-antibiotic effect on the Enterobacteria, Pseudomonas, Staph aureus. Low frequency of mutational resistance is there. No action against the protective intestinal streptococci and the anaerobes. Less active in acidic pH. So these are the distinctive features of the fluoroquinolones. Now coming to the therapeutic uses of the fluoroquinolones. First use is urinary tract infection. Norfloxacin, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin can be used in uncomplicated UTI as well as complicated UTI. Complicated UTI means the UTI due to the indwelling catheters. And in resistant UTI, that is the UTI caused by resistant organisms like Pseudomonas, pazofloxacin can be used. Then prostatitis. In prostatitis, first generation compounds can be used if the infection is by the sensitive organisms, and for resistant gram-negative organisms, second generation compounds can be used. Then next is the gonorrhea. Gonorrhea caused by the penicillinase producing Neisseria gonococci or the non-penicillinase producing Neisseria gonococci. In both these organisms, first generation compounds are effective initially. They were effective initially, but nowadays resistance has been developed. So second generation compounds can be used for the both gonorrhea caused by PPNG as well as non-PPNG. PPNG means penicillinase producing Neisseria gonococcal infection. Then next use is the chancroid. Fluoroquinolone is the alternative to the ceftriaxone or the azithromycin. Fluoroquinolone is the alternative to ceftriaxone. First choice is ceftriaxone or azithromycin, and then fluoroquinolone is the alternative. Nowadays resistance to the fluoroquinolone is developed. Then chlamydial urethritis or the cervicitis. Here ofloxacin, sparfloxacin are alternative to the doxycycline or the azithromycin. Then bacterial gastroenteritis. In this you can give first generation compound like norfloxacin, ofloxacin, ciprofloxacin can be used for the empirical treatment of travelers diarrhea, then for shigellosis and cholera. Then the next important use is typhoid. For typhoid fever, chloramphenicol, ampicillin, cotrimoxazole were used previously, but nowadays they are unreliable. Ciprofloxacin was used initially, but nowadays resistance has developed to the ciprofloxacin also. And ciprofloxacin can be used only if the strain is sensitive to the ciprofloxacin. Ciprofloxacin can lead to the quick defervescence of the bacilli, then early relief from the symptoms, and prevents the carrier state in sensitive organism. If the organism is sensitive, it can lead to the quick defervescence, early relief from the symptom, and prevention of the carrier state. Then it can be used to treat the carrier also. Then coming to the next use, that is in bone infection, soft tissue infection, wound infection. Here the osteomyelitis, cellulitis by the resistant Staph aureus or the gram-negative bacteria. So here osteomyelitis caused by these organisms, you can use the ciprofloxacin if the organism is sensitive, and this should be combined with the clindamycin or the metronidazole if the infection is of mixed type. If anaerobes are also involved, then you should add the clindamycin and or the metronidazole. Also the First generation compound can be used for diabetic food. Diabetic food generally is a mixed infection caused by the gram positive, gram negative organism as well as the anaerobes. So if the organism is sensitive, you can use first generation fluoroquinolones, or if the organism is resistant, then you can use the second generation fluoroquinolones along with the metronidazole or the clindamycin. Here you can add aminoglycoside also. Then in gynecological infection like the cervicitis and the pelvic inflammatory disease, first generation compounds can be used. In resistant cases, if the organism is resistant, then second generation drugs can be given. Then continuing with the therapeutic uses, respiratory tract infections. Now in respiratory tract infection, ciprofloxacin or the first generation compound can be used to treat the atypical pneumonia which is caused due to the Mycoplasma, Legionella, Moraxella, Staph aureus, Haemophilus influenzae, Bartonella catarrhalis or the chlamydia. Now the second generation drugs are used in the treatment of community acquired pneumonia and the bronchitis which is caused due to the resistant pneumococci and the streptococci. Initially for the community acquired pneumonias, first generation compounds were used, but nowadays resistance has developed to the first generation fluoroquinolones and hence second generation drugs can be given for the treatment of the community acquired pneumonias and bronchitis due to the resistant pneumococci and the streptococci. Then for anthrax, ciprofloxacin is a drug of choice for the anthrax. Then next important use is tuberculosis. For tuberculosis, ciprofloxacin is less active against the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, but it can be given against the atypical mycobacterial infection. Atypical mycobacterial infection and the Mycobacterium avium complex infection seen in AIDS patient. In multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, moxifloxacin and levofloxacin can be used. So second generation compounds are used in multi-drug resistant tuberculosis and they are one of the ingredients of the regimen against the multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. Then next important use is in gram negative septicemias. If the organism is sensitive, you can give the ciprofloxacin along with the aminoglycoside and a third generation cephalosporin. So all these three drugs can be combined if the organism is sensitive to the ciprofloxacin. In resistant cases, second generation fluoroquinolone can be given with the cephalosporin and the aminoglycoside. Then next important use is meningitis due to gram negative organisms. So here if the organism is sensitive, first generation compound can be given. In resistant organism, if the organism is resistant, you have to give the second generation drugs. Then in conjunctivitis, for the conjunctivitis caused by the gram negative organism, if the organism is sensitive, you can use the first generation compounds like ciprofloxacin or the ofloxacin. If the organism is resistant, you can use the second generation compound by topical in the form of eye drops. So topical therapy is advised for the conjunctivitis. The next important use is as a prophylactic use in neutropenic patients. So in patients of neutropenia such as those receiving chemotherapy for the cancer, so in such patients, to prevent the fever and to decrease the incidence of gram negative bacteremias, quinolones can be given. First generation quinolones with aminoglycosides can be used in such patients, neutropenic patient, to decrease the incidence of gram negative bacteremia. Then next important use is in hospital acquired infection, that is nosocomial infection due to the resistant gram negative organisms or the resistant gram positive organisms or the methicillin resistant Staph aureus. So in these cases, the newer fluoroquinolone, that is the balofloxacin or the pazofloxacin, can be used. Now coming to the adverse reactions and contraindications. Adverse reactions are mild. Mild side effects are seen. They occur in 10% of the cases, like the anorexia, vomiting, nausea, then restlessness, anxiety, insomnia, headache can occur. Rash, pruritus can occur in or the urticaria or the photosensitivity can be seen in sensitive individuals. Then tendonitis and tendon rupture has been reported. Cartilage damage occurs in children, while in patients above 60 years of age tendon rupture occurs. Contraindications of pregnancy. So pregnancy is a strict contraindication for the quinolones and the fluoroquinolones. Then coming to the drug interactions of the fluoroquinolones, enzyme inhibition. Enzyme inhibition is an important drug interaction. Ciprofloxacin is an enzyme inhibitor. So it inhibits the metabolism of the drugs like theophylline and the warfarin. So the drugs which are given along with ciprofloxacin, the plasma concentration of these drugs increase. Ciprofloxacin is a microsomal enzyme inhibitor, inhibits the microsomal enzymes. Then if the fluoroquinolones are given with the antacids or the ion compounds, absorption is reduced. If they are given with NSAIDs or the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs enhance the CNS toxicity of the fluoroquinolones. So seizures can occur in some patient, not in every patient. It is advised not to give the fluoroquinolones with the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs or the antacids or the ion salts, or ciprofloxacin should not be combined with the other drugs like the warfarin or the theophylline or the oral hypoglycemic agents, because their plasma concentration can increase and that can lead to the adverse reaction. Like if it is given with the oral hypoglycemic drugs, it can lead to hypoglycemia. If it is given with warfarin, bleeding can occur. So these are the excessive side effects can be seen with the due to the other drugs because of increase in the plasma concentration. So with this we finish the quinolones and the fluoroquinolones. So in today's class we have seen what are quinolones, what are fluoroquinolones, what is their structure, what is nalidixic acid, what do you mean by fluoroquinolones, what is the classification, their mechanism of action, their spectrum of action, therapeutic uses, adverse reaction, drug interaction and contraindications. So with this I finish today's class on quinolones. Thank you.